This Week in America. Welcome back, everybody. Website thisweekinamerica.us. Great to have you with us on the program. And back with us on the program is Robert Maxxim. Legacy is the story of man's sojourns through history. It describes one man's incredible journey, the several lifetimes journey as far back as, well, a million years, the blunders, the triumphs, the many worlds and places where the experiences took place. 5 episodes, a million-year-old romance, space battles, intrigue, interdimensional scientific and spiritual principles of life, today's false religious beliefs, and other secrets exposed in detail. They'll make a great motion picture. We'll talk about that on today's program. Described as a must-read for every truth seeker, a novel 30 years in the making. The Legacy series, the author is Robert Maxxim, our guest on the show. It's his incredible journey through several lifetimes as far back as a million years. Now, as a child, Robert experienced several sleep-time visits to other worlds, witnessed countless alien craft. These experiences continue to date in both wake and sleep states. He spent over 40 years studying science, religion, the science of life. He lives and works in Illinois in the field of information technology. And he's back with us on the program, one of our most popular guests, Robert Maxxim, author of the critically acclaimed Legacy series. Robert, welcome back to the program. It is always great to have you with us to talk about the legacy and all of the experiences that you've had in your lifetime.
Well, thank you. I'm just pleased to be here.
In fact, I should say in your lifetimes, as we'll talk about during the course of the program today. I mentioned Legacy. This would be a great series. You have to, in fact, you've got a lot of videos. If you go to YouTube and the website, rgaetan.com, you'll see some videos. This would make a great movie. In fact, a whole series of movies.
Well, I've actually had a couple of contacts that are actually interested in making movies out of the 5-book series. So that's sort of already in progress. Let's hope that it does come to fruition.
Would love to see that
material there.
Well, yeah, and it's great material, and you do such an excellent job in writing it. It's sort of like this mental movie as you're going through and reading the Legacy series. Legacy is available on Amazon, all the usual places across the country, and at Robert's website, rgaetan, GAETAN.com. On the program, we're taking a number of questions that we've had from listeners and viewers, and the YouTube version of this is at the website, thisweekinamerica.us. Go to the website. You can go directly to YouTube and watch it. They're up on Robert's website as well. And we're going to pick up on some of the questions that we've had. And if you have a question for Robert, you can very easily get in contact with him through his website or our website, thisweekinamerica.us. This is a gentleman that we mentioned a few programs back, and someone was asking about that mention, Dr. Ernest L. Norman. Just who is Dr. Norman, and what did his teachings provide?
Oh, gosh. I'm going to need a million years to explain that. Dr. Norman's perhaps the clearest, clairvoyant, and the most advanced being to ever grace this world, and naturally demonstrated advanced knowledge of all the sciences since his early childhood. He was an electrical engineer born in America, a clairvoyant, philosopher, scientist, and spiritual leader of most humble disposition. His mission on Earth was to bring forth the teachings of higher spiritual worlds known as Unarius, which, as a matter of fact, Venus is a member of that group of worlds. These teachings are meant to prepare us to advance spiritually into the next millennium, and his vast library of published books consists of scientific, spiritual, expressive content, information far beyond the grasp of any present human being, far into the future. As a matter of fact, just now, science is beginning to conceive and prove several of the truths that he exposed back in 1954, including the interdimensional concepts such as virtual space and M theory, which celebrities like Stephen Hawking conceived some 30 years later. Theories on the atom, cell functions, wave theories, all have now become an integral part of today's science, and no doubt inspired by Dr. Norman's channeled works.
You know, it's interesting. I mentioned that as a child, you had these sleep time visits to other worlds, and you witnessed alien craft and trying, I'm sure, to make sense out of all of this. Why is this happening to me? What is the meaning of all of this? When did you find the readings of Dr. Norman, and how did he influence your life? I'm assuming that he was able to really answer many of your questions and give you some much needed guidance at that time.
And it still is. Basically, since 1976, I have been studying his works, and thanks to um, all of his books, as well as many other students, I have been able to sort all of this out. And much of what ended up in legacy is, shall we say, the rebirth of my spirit with an understanding of these higher truths that at the time when I had these visions, they eluded me. But there is a match between what Dr. Norman wrote and what I had in these visions, and that's why I study his works so diligently.
If you're interested in looking into the work, the writings of Dr. Norman, it's Dr. Ernest L. Norman. And Robert, at your website, I believe you've got information where you can go to Unarius and you can get information on him as well.
Yes, the website is pointed to from rgaitan.com, or the listener can go directly to unariusunited.com, all one word. And there are several books, audio tapes, write-ups, even lessons learned by several students who have posted really advanced concepts of life on this website based on Dr. Norman's works.
If you're traveling and not able to remember all of the websites, if you just remember thisweekinamerica.us, you'll get the information there. You can link on directly to Dr. Norman's website, to Robert's website as well. A question came in from a listener. Why was I born on this planet and not another like Mars? And what must I do to reincarnate elsewhere?
Well,
okay, those are pretty good questions.
Yeah, we have to explain why life is, basically, but ours is an infinite journey, and Earth is just one of those many stops that we've made along the way, and we're drawn here from all over the galaxy by nature of sympathetic energy, that until we stop tuning into that specific energy, we're going to continue being slung right back here like a magnet. So you can go live in a Mars colony, you can go to Alpha Centauri, a colony there. Well, before you know it, when you reincarnate, you're back where you were, because that's where your mind belongs. Mars is further along in its spiritual evolution by thousands of years. So unlike us, they have learned to be led by their higher self. We would definitely not be compatible there. Now, few individuals are willing to accept a need for change, yet they fail to appreciate what they subconsciously like and call home. That is, you live where your mind attunes to. And that's what Dr. Norman's higher teachings are really all about. That's what they're trying to tell us. Earth swings through positive and negative cycles up and down all the time. There's times of creativity, there's times of strife. And in that up and down, it attracts various souls to its ongoing consciousness. So at the present time, we're heading into a more positive cycle, and many positive souls are being born to help swing the planet upward. But those who remain unreceptive will have to go elsewhere during this period. So the answer to the question is, in order to be born on Mars, you have to be in the mindset of, in the advancement of those beings. Much like if I were going to first grade in school, I just can't walk into college, into second year calculus, and expect to do well there. The mindset of these other worlds is just so advanced. We just would not fit in.
Well, it's interesting, and I want to see if I'm following correctly. Mars, you're basically talking about a world that's more civilized than we are, more advanced than we are?
The basis of the teachings is to understand what life is and how to conduct it. People on Mars have devoted their life first to their spiritual evolution, and second to the mechanical, the physical side of life, to help uplift or support that mental style of life. Now, here on this planet, we do the other way. We cater to the physical, to the comforts, to the flavor of food, whatever. And the last thing you have in mind is, well, what about your spiritual side? What about your mental side? So that is a huge difference between us. That's what sets us a couple of steps, shall we say, below many other worlds. And one reason why we have to keep coming back here until we put our preference not on the physical comforts and riches of this life, but the riches of spirit, like most everyone else in the galaxy.
Right. With that knowledge, how does that impact your life and how you lead your life?
Life is to be led by the level of knowledge that you have thereof. In other words, whatever your mind believes in, that's where you live. So I am constantly learning new concepts, advancing spiritually, and doing my best to stick to it and practice not only what I learn, but what I tell others. For me, life is definitely a challenge. And from one day to another, there's not a moment where I don't have a dark side that's saying, no, 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 go do this instead. Go do that. Think bad about that person. It's there. That's why we're in this world. So how am I going to lead life is not to be scared of those facets of myself, but recognize it and give it to my positive side. Listen to the higher side of my life and let it lead me. And even though I have these thorns that are constantly picking at my feet and making life a little difficult, life can be very beautiful. Even in this state, it can be very educational, just as long as you focus on the positive and don't let those negative influences take you over.
Robert Maxxim, our guest on This Week in America. That's spelled Maxxim. The website, rgaetan.com. The Legacy series, it's an excellent read. 5 episodes available at Amazon, wherever books are sold around the country. You can go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on and get all of that information. Another question from a listener. How do we interact with higher, more advanced beings?
Well, we come equipped with both a lower and a higher self. So in all actuality, the higher being is closer than one might think. It's already built in. Jesus spoke of a small, still voice. So check it out. That's basically what it is. He also said to love thy neighbor as thyself, meaning accept the higher self in you and also see it and respect it in others. Now, if you can't love and obey that, how can you possibly do likewise to other beings, especially more advanced beings that share your positive side? And how do you love the higher self then, if you love your lower self more? Dr. Norman said it best. He taught us to listen, to learn the infinite, and to understand yourself. So not to be led by fear, anger, or need, not to surrender to those physical needs, but instead to be calm, to let life not be about need, but attaining a higher knowledge. And then you'll be interacting with higher beings that share that higher knowledge. Because don't forget, where your mind is, that is where your life and your associations will be. And as the saying goes, tell me who you are with, and I will tell you who you are.
Interesting. Robert Maxxim, our guest on the program, author of the Legacy series. A lot of great information there. As we're dealing, the question was, how do we interact with higher, more advanced beings? I would think there would be almost a feeling of being inferior, maybe intimidation. Is that necessarily so? And how do we get over that when we know that we are dealing with someone more advanced?
When I was 6 years old, I went to a music conservatory, and I sat in an advanced class. Those students were 5, 6 years ahead of me, but I decided I was going to stick to the class, and I struggled. I was slow at writing. I didn't understand many of the terms. I really struggled in that class. But even though I could not stay there because it was too advanced for me, I learned one thing. I was a student, and so were the students that were there. I am a student of this life. Higher beings are also students at a slightly higher level, because when you look at infinity, you never stop learning. You never stop evolving. So these higher beings call themselves students. There is the only difference that separates them from us is the amount of information that they have adopted into themselves, and where they attune their mind, what they love. And that's what keeps bringing them back to those higher dimensions. And that's what keeps bringing us to this dimension. So life is only a thought away, and it depends where you put your thought.
Fascinating. Robert Maxxim, our guest on the program. That's Maxxim, Legacy Series. Time for one more question. Will aliens land on Earth someday, and should we fear? And I've been reading more and more what I would call mainstream scientists talking about the possibility of other life forms out there, and speculating as to whether we should fear, how we would interact. First of all, will aliens ever land on Earth, and then should we fear them?
Well, let's put the question to the aliens. The aliens would ask, will we ever land on Earth, and do we have to fear? Yes, they have a lot to fear.
Yes. Yeah.
Instead of us. They have come among us for hundreds of thousands of years in Lemuria and Atlantis and Egypt, but we cast them away. They live by the higher self. We live by the lower. So we're automatically incompatible. Their presence would disrupt our struggle for honesty, cause us to ignore the purpose that we're here for, and cause us to avoid our evolutionary responsibility. Our space brothers, as I like to call them, they know that because it's happened before. They've come among us. They have shared teachings countless times, but what have we done? Well, the answer is they're not here among us anymore. That should explain why. You have Dr. Norman, you have George Adamski, and you have others explaining that if we cannot follow these simple universal teachings, the brothers have no reason to cut the line and come here. And if aliens do land here, then I can assure you that their agenda is going against the Infinite's prime directive, and I want no part of it. I know that that's not what most people want to hear, but even me at times, I tend to think in the other direction, but it's a fact. This world is reserved for working out our challenges without intervention. And if we graduate, then we can move on elsewhere. Meanwhile, the brothers are not turning a recovery ward, that's what this planet is, into Club Med. So word to the wise is, it's good to know, to understand, and to respect the fact that there is life elsewhere. But we don't have to fear. We have to fear ourselves. And the Space Brothers, they have to think it twice before they decide to land here. First, they're not authorized, not yet. And number two, if they did, the amount of damage that they would cause to our evolution, our financial and resource system would be enormous. We're not ready, and we won't be ready for a long time. So if we want to be alongside aliens, we have to overcome ourselves. And perhaps, if we do well, if we learn our lessons and overcome our lower self, we might be incarnated among aliens.
We've got a minute or so left in the program. So much there. I'm taking notes, so we'll have plenty to talk about next time. But you mentioned learning our lessons. Are we making any strides in learning our lessons? I mean, you look at what's going on in the world. You look at the news. You pick up a newspaper, and it's almost like we're regressing. Are we learning any lessons?
That's what this planet is for. In this planet, a lot of things happen, and you have the gamut. Individuals, like I mentioned, come from all over the galaxy because this is what they are. This is what they have. You have individuals that struggle for power, others that mean ill will towards others. They're willing to take a life. They want to survive while at the cost of somebody else. That's planet Earth. That's the way this planet has been for thousands of years, and it will continue to be that way. And until we decide, we are going against creation. We're going against the very essence, the life force that keeps us alive. That is a dumb thing to do. We have to stop doing that, and we have to start learning the true teachings. And I highly recommend picking up one of Dr. Norman's books and reading it, especially the Infinite Concept of Cosmic Creation. Reading that book is just going to wake everybody up. People are going to go, wow, I never heard it like that. I never saw it like that. And now I have some direction. That's just the beginning. It's a wake-up call. And there's a lot of material to study. At least what we have available to us now will keep us busy for thousands of years to come.
Wow. And you can start this journey by getting and reading and enjoying the Legacy series. It's highly entertaining. It's eye-opening. It's thought-provoking. Mm-hmm. The Legacy series by Robert Maxxim, our guest in the program, Maxxim. Book available at Amazon, all the places across the country. His website are Gaetan, Gaetan.com. Link onto our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and you'll be able to go directly to Robert's website. If you have any questions, just get a hold of Robert or myself through either of the websites, and we'll be happy to talk about them on the next program. Robert, time goes by way too quickly. Time as we know it, as I know it. You may know it differently than I know it, but as I know time, it just went by very quickly over the course of this program. Thank you once again for being with us on the program. It is always enlightening, and we look forward to having you back with us.
Oh, please. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Again, information available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. You can link on directly to Robert's website. All the information on the Legacy series. We're This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us, and we're back after these messages.